Hey all, Jason Levon, priest at St. Luke's Episcopal Church in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Welcome to another edition of Pause and Pray. I never was the biggest traveler in my life, and that's changed a bit since marrying Christy. She certainly enjoys traveling immensely, and it has pulled me out of my shell in some wonderful ways. We've had some great adventures together. And maybe because so many of us aren't able to travel right now because of the pandemic, that I've been reminiscing on some of our adventures. One was an adventure we took probably 5 or 6 years ago when it was super cold and frigid here in February. Christy and I rented an Airbnb condo down in South Padre Island off of Texas in the Gulf of Mexico, and spent a week at a condo just a couple of blocks from the Gulf. It was amazingly cheap rates because it was off season. Now, I also will be the first to admit, and I think Christy would back me up on this, that I don't relax very well. So when we got to the condo, Christy wanted to go to the beach and relax. It was a beautiful day in the 80s. So I took a bag full of books that I had never gotten to but intended to, some magazines as well, to keep me busy and to get something done while I was there. Christy, on the other hand, took a towel, a beach chair, and some sunscreen because she was just going to savor the gift of this week, the gift of the beach. I should have learned from her, but when we got to the beach and sat down, I quickly opened a book to get something done and began reading. And then I was distracted because above the book line, I saw something that just caught my eye. It was a young woman who was obviously well trained, and she was dancing along the beach, doing these beautiful ballet moves as she faced the majesty and the mystery and the beauty of the ocean and the sun above it, and just danced, savoring it all. She adopted a posture of prayer just like Christy did, because they were the ones savoring life in that moment. In today's daily office, we read from chapter 16 of the Acts of the Apostles, which tells the story in chapter 16 of Paul and some of those other early disciples having some real beautiful success as they went out to bring the message of the gospel and of Easter to communities all around. In this case, in chapter 16, we hear this wonderful encounter where they're on the move going from city to city, and they come across this woman named Lydia, who's a dealer of purple garments, and she listens to them and is so moved that she has her entire household baptized. But instead of Paul and the disciples moving right away from Lydia and her family, Lydia insists that they spend some time with her, that they take up some time in her house getting some rest for their journey. And the text says that she prevailed on them. Lydia, a wonderful example for all of us of opening our lives in radical hospitality to savor the gift that's right there. And that's what she did in savoring the gift of coming to learn something profoundly life-giving through Paul and his companions. I'm really preaching to myself here, if I'm honest with you, because I have a hard time relaxing. But if you're like me, then what a wonderful invitation today to pause and to pray for the grace to savor life more often than I or we typically do. Maybe that's to spend some time savoring our coffee in the morning, sipping it slowly on a cool, soon-to-be autumn morning, instead of drinking it like I typically do to get me pepped up to get on with the daily grind. Or maybe it's savoring the tremendous fall colors that are about to burst forth on the leaves of trees all around us in a few weeks, because we know they won't be there long, as the trees will soon let go of those leaves and the colors will fade. Maybe it's praying for the grace to spend a little bit more time lingering with our loved ones more often than we do. Or maybe it's praying for the grace to face the light of a new day and respond like that woman on the beach, dancing in its presence. As we come to realize that everything is a gift, and it's given to us to be celebrated and savored. God's peace and blessings to you all.